Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Ace Hotel for what promises to be a very exciting evening. How wonderful to see so many of you here. Wow. My name is Nicholas Pegg. I'm the author of a book called The Complete David Bowie, and I have the honour of being your host for this evening. Now, this evening we're going to be meeting a number of absolutely unique and wonderful artists, and they're all people whose lives and careers have, in one way or another, been touched by one of the most luminous talents of all of our lifetimes, the shining star who very sadly left us at the beginning of this year, David Bowie. And I'm sure you all know that our very special guest this evening is a man who was there right at the dawn of David Bowie's career, the man who taught David so much about movement and mime and stagecraft and theatre, the man who played a crucial part in the gestation and germination of that extraordinary creation, Ziggy Stardust. Lindsay Kemp is an artist like no other. You name it, Lindsay's done it. He's been there. He didn't get the t-shirt, he designed the t-shirt. And Lindsay has lots of wonderful and amazing stories about his extraordinary career, and we're going to be hearing a lot of them later on. But first, we're going to kick off this evening with some live music. So without further ado, I would like you to welcome back to the stage the wonderful pianist you heard just now, Konstantin Lapchin, and to join him to sing some songs is the incomparable Ernesto Tomasini.
Actually, when they asked me to do this, I thought, what? David Bowie? How can I do David Bowie? I mean, the maestro is an accomplished classical pianist, and I was raised by nuns, and so how could we possibly do David Bowie? So we found a way that we could do this, and this is that way, and hopefully it will, a new way of conceiving David Bowie. So let's see how it goes. I'm the only man who will have to read the lyrics of this song. I mean, in this room for sure. But I will look at them like that. So, maestro, if David Bowie were a classical composer, there you go.
Star, moon waiting in the sky. I'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks it blow our minds. There's a star, moon waiting in the sky. He told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all for. Let the children use it. Let the children use it. Let all the children go again. Let the children use it. Let the children use it. Let all the children.
So, where could we go from here? Not far, really. In fact, as our second and last number for the evening, we're going to do a song that David Bowie wrote for Lindsay Kemp for a show that they did in 1970, and it's a song that this lovely little show. It's on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube nowadays. You will find that on YouTube, and we do a quite faithful version of it. Maestro. Threepenny Piero, we love you. Threepenny Piero loves us too. Pockets of gladness, gay time eyes, comical hero, Threepenny Piero. Happy little feet that dance all day, lonely little heart with lots to say. Stepping footprints on your mind, of what I Columbine. Bang the drum and blow the bugle call. Piero takes the stage to play for all. For here's a life his fortune rules, consecrated by his Columbine. Threepenny Piero, we love you. Threepenny Piero loves us too. Pockets of gladness, gay time eyes, comical hero, Threepenny Piero. To tap his feet to greet dear Harlequin, the heart of folks so keenly hard to win. A patchwork frame of tears and wine, the nectar for cruel Columbine. The part of three and leave the stage forlorn. Puppets scold their faces sad and groan. Leave his trial of rise and fall, the love which love between us all. Threepenny Piero, we love you. Threepenny Piero loves us too. Pockets of gladness, gay time eyes, comical hero, Threepenny Piero, Threepenny Piero, we love you. Threepenny Piero loves us too. Thank you and good night. Well, enjoy the rest of the night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to really get this show on the road now. And first of all, I would like to welcome to the stage my co-host for the rest of this evening, who is another wonderful artist and another person whose career has, from time to time, been very strongly influenced by both Lindsay Kemp and by David Bowie. But he's also a true original. He's a great artist in his own right. He's someone I've admired for many, many years, and I'm sure you all have too. And I'm sure, like many people, my first encounter with him was one glorious evening in 1981 when I switched on Top of the Pops. Yeah. And popular music has never been quite the same since. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my very great pleasure to welcome to the stage Marc Almond.
I've just in very simple black tonight, for a change, and less bling than usual because I think Lindsay wanted the makeup of the night and the bling of the night to belong to David Bowie. So I've written a little piece about Lindsay because they're coming Alzheimer's light in these kind of events. I always have lots of things I want to say, but I forget all of them. So I've just written a little few notes about Lindsay, what Lindsay has meant to me, how he's been a part of my life. So I hope you'll just indulge me a little moment while I can read this or look at my notes and things. It seems I was 15 or 16 that Lindsay has always been in my life, at least the spirit of Lindsay. He's been one of the extraordinary characters that I built my world around. David Bowie was the very best teacher I had. If he talked in interviews about an artist, a writer, a musician, a film, a book, any performer, I wanted to investigate them. And Lindsay was one of those performers. Through Bowie, through Lindsay, I learnt about Jacques Brel and Jean Genet. Through Lindsay, I learnt about dance, expression, movement, and about the Ballet Rambert. I saw pictures of him and his company in magazines in extraordinary makeup and costumes. He was a mythical creature, and I created a mythology around him long before I'd seen one of his wonderful productions. The first I saw was in Southport. He wasn't in it, sadly, but he was there very much in the spirit. The Ballet Rambert's Parades Gone By. When I went to study fine art and performance at Art in Leeds, it was Lindsay in my mind when I created my performances, art pieces and shows in the makeup and costumes. Shows with titles like Glamour and Squalor, Twilights and Lowlifes, The Vampire Cat and Zazu, a character I created based on Our Lady of Flowers, Davine, or Divine, if you like. I had a friend at our college, Frank Tovey, otherwise known as the great performer Fad Gadget, who had studied with Lindsay and held classes of mime and movement. The spirit of Lindsay was always there. Lindsay's piece with Christopher Bruce and the Rambert, Cruel Garden, based on Lorca's poems, was a huge inspiration to my album Torment and Toreros. When I spent time in Barcelona in the 80s, I used to see Lindsay around the Plaza Royal, in the colourful bars, places like Kike, full of characters straight out of a Lindsay Kemp show. I was always too shy to approach him, but strangely enough, it was Lindsay who approached me to appear in a production he was doing, Variété. It is one of the regrets of my life, because I was tied to a busy promotional schedule for a record I had coming out, that I was unable to work with him on this production and appear in it. But years later, I thought of Lindsay and his world when I named my own record Variété. It seems strange then that though I've known and been friends with many people from Lindsay's orbit, that we've only recently just met. We've talked about Lindsay being the green fairy of absinthe, in a clip to be used in strangely enough, can't think why, in a clip to be used in my production with Othon and Jeremy Reed of Against Nature, based on the book by J.K. Huysmans. But that's enough of me now. I think it's time, Nick.
I think it is, don't you, Mark?
To introduce
the man himself. Would you like to meet him, boys and girls? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Lindsay Kemp.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Thank you all. I'm overwhelmed and know not what to say, except thank you very, very much for coming. It's been a great pleasure. It is a great, great pleasure. It's a very nice hotel. It's very, very nice. The staff are very, very friendly. Hi, Lindsay. How are you? Hi, Lindsay. Can I get you anything? Hi, Lindsay. Would you like a drink? Everyone's very high. I feel a bit wired myself, actually, with this contraption. Hi, Mark. Hi, nice to see you.
I've not been high for a while, I'm afraid.
Well, thank you very much. Oh, it's not vodka, is it?
How does it feel to be back in London again?
It's a joy. It's a joy. I don't look too depressed, do I?
No, not at all.
Makeup helps, not too much of it. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's extraordinary. It's changed a lot, you know. It's not like it was, you know, in my day. My word. It's not. Very hip. Very hip round
It's hip in your day.
I love to see, especially the diversity all around. That's nice, because I missed the old Shoreditch. I was very fond of the old Shoreditch, and I was very fond of the old Soho. I ventured into Soho yesterday, got very upset. Not the Soho that I remembered.
Being prettified.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck it, honestly, what a mess they made.
Not the Soho one you from my day.
Ripped out the heart, ripped out the heart. The locals have all gone. The wickedness has gone. It's sanitized and ready, like you know, a lot of other places. I miss the painted ladies in the doorways a lot, and the clubs, you know, and the neon, and my friends, the exotic dancers.
You worked in the
that
strip
were
clubs.
constantly. I'm coming to it. That were constantly scurrying along the Frith Street and Compton Street, you know, to their various clubs. They did about 6 different clubs in a day and did about 10 shows a day. I miss my friend, the princess in Soho, Zia Martinez. She did a dance with a peacock. And one could see her constantly scurrying between club and club with the peacock cut to her.
Real alive?
She did, no, a stuffed one. And she did a number, I suppose inspired by Leda and the Swan, with rather highbrow music. I think it was Ketelbians in a Persian marketplace. She sit the peacock down, and the music would start, and she'd peel, you see, for the pleasure of the stuffed peacock. And at the end of it, caressing it, you know, like the swan, she, with naked breast, she fed it.
Really?
She fed it the beak in a nipple, yes, as the rather grubby red curtain closed. Well, it was wonderful then. It was wonderful. those were the days. Later and the peacock.
You won't find that in
No,
Soho,
absolutely
no.
All that had gone. And of course, Bohemia had gone. All that had gone. It's not arty anymore, and not dangerous anymore, and very, very dull. It's very sad, seriously. And to see so many people that have been driven out of their homes, no locals there anymore, you know. And then I came across my old house, Bateman Street, Bateman's Buildings, where I lived in the 60s, late 60s. There should be a pink plaque on the wall, you know, saying, David Bowie often came here. I'll reword that.
We'll get round to that
David
then.
Bowie often visited here.
One of the things that I think is really interesting about that period of Soho, when you were in the thick of it, was that you could move between, and I'm sure did on a daily basis, what is perhaps pointlessly known as highbrow and lowbrow. So one minute it would be strip clubs, but you were also working and mingling with people like Harrison Birtwistle and Peter Maxwell Davies, weren't you? And
Oh,
all
it was all
sorts of stuff.
lowbrow.
It was all lowbrow.
Oh, terribly lowbrow. with one or two highbrow exceptions, like Birtwistle and Maxwell Davies. Yes, I did highbrow things as well. Well, that's how I met DB in the first place, because I was being, well, not exactly managed, but the Brian Epstein office, NEMS, were helping me find gigs, and I would often go on as a kind of warm-up to various bands to do a kind of mime act thing. Billed as Lindsay, the man who mimes his own business. And it was visiting NEM's offices one day when the secretary, Janice, I tried to find this girl, this woman now, I suppose she must be bordering on my age if she's still with us. I hope she is, because it was she that one day when I was visiting the office gave me an LP. David Bowie was the name on it. And she said, I think you love this. Oh, I did. It was his first LP, you know. And loved all the songs, loved the voice, fell in love with him. And one song in particular was called When I Live My Dream. Oh, heavens. I was performing a little show at that time with my company, a little show called the Tinsel People, a kind of backstage show, inspired mostly by Picasso's blue and pink pictures. It was all kind of blood and tinsel and Pierrot, you know, cutting his wrists. Oh no, that came later. That came a bit later, that one. Anyway, rehearsing cutting his wrists. And I played the song When I Live My Dream, and it seemed very, very apt before the show started. Janice, the lady, I think they were going out together at that time, brought him. He was very thrilled to hear his song, very few people had heard his music.
Well,
at
that's
that
right.
time.
You were one of the first
yes,
people
I was
who
one of the
promoted
first.
it.
Anyway, like I was saying, he was very, very great. Loved the show, darlings. Loved my world. You know, all that kind of backstage Piero and stuff. And he came backstage afterwards and knocked on my door. I opened the door. Oh, heavens. There was the Archangel Gabriel standing before me. I didn't fall on my knees until a couple of days later.
What do you mean?
Anyway, he expressed a desire to study under me. And he enrolled in my classes the very next day at the dance centre where I was teaching in Covent Garden. The classes attracted all sorts of people, from dancers and actors and would-be pop singers and typists, and I mean they all came. Glorious, glorious days. David was very popular, especially during the improvisations. We'd do things like, you know, rolling on the floor, I mean, Ravel, I mean, under the sea. There was a lot of grovelling going on. And of course the girls were the first to kind of leap on David, you know, and some of the boys. I mean, they would have devoured him if I hadn't kind of changed the music.
Kind of beaten them off.
And so I taught him to dance. He taught me a thing or two in return. And taught him how to not only express himself through his body, but how to reach, how to touch a public through his not his movement, through his stillness, through his image. And
I was just going to say that one of the things that David Bowie always used to say
to communicate
through the years
was the word I was searching for.
Yeah. He used to say that the movement you taught him was incredibly important, but just as important was the stillness, and to make every movement count, the absolute stillness, which you can see looking at his concert videos throughout his career.
Yeah.
So shortly after that, when you first met and he started attending your dance classes, this wonderful show began to take form.
Oh, I was terribly inspired. Terribly inspired, and I wrote a little show where we kind of worked on it together, which was to become Piero in Turquoise. It was David and me and the incredible Orlando, you know, my companion for many, many years, who I first met when I was a student at the Rambert School in the late 50s. He had kept me out the forces, you see, you know. I'd seen the Ballet Rambert, were in love with the Ballet Rambert, and I hitchhiked to London and auditioned for the Rambert. Previously I'd auditioned for the Sadler's Wells School, you might have heard this story. And full of it I was, you know. I hadn't had a lesson or anything like that, but I did have the Ballet Lover's pocketbook. And I copied some of the steps to the best of my ability. Well, the very next day a letter came from the Sadler's School saying, "No, dear Master Kemp, thank you so much for attending your audition on Thursday the 13th. However, we regret to inform you that we find you, the board and I, both physically and temperamentally unsuited to a career as a dancer." Imagine if I'd listened. We wouldn't all be here, would we? I might have got a job in the glue factory. Sniffed a lot of glue last
Yes. You'd have been high again.
Don't think I would be here to tell the tale. Anyway, Jack said, "Look, I was in the Air Force at this time. He said, you've got to get out there." He says, "You know, don't tell them that you're a, you know what." And, you know, it goes, things down there. Anyway, I got out and was accepted by the Rambert School for a while. This is another long story. I'll be here this time tomorrow. And the day after.
We'll stay overnight.
Anyway,
Well, we can stay
well,
overnight,
you're not
can't we?
married, are you?
Yeah,
Some of you
we're
have
not
got
going
trains to get and that kind of thing. Well, what's that?
So,
Lindsay, I'm going to ask you, you also took David Bowie to see a show, a Jacques Brel show as well, which kind of, and the first time I heard Jacques Brel was through David Bowie. It flipped over the B-side to the B-side of Sorrow, David Bowie's best ever selling single.
Well, it was in the charts longer than any other single. There's a little David Bowie fact for you, yes.
A David Bowie fact. And on the other side was Amsterdam. And I think that was because you took David Bowie to see Jacques Brel is alive and well and living in Paris, which inspired Bowie to sing Jacques Brel.
Well, that's how the story goes.
I like that story.
Well, you'll stick to that.
Because then you're responsible for me singing Jacques
the best
Brel.
story that counts. I mean, I think it was actually David that took me to see Jacques Brel.
Oh, it's sporty now.
Not just once, but many, many times. And it was wonderful. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, because you've spoilt that now.
I've
That was-
spoiled the bloody
that
Jacques
was meant to
Brel
be
story.
you.
I'm sorry about that.
But yeah, this was a show that was obviously an English translation of a lot of Jacques Brel's songs. And among the songs in the show were Amsterdam and My Death, which are two songs that David Bowie famously then went on to do during the Ziggy period. But actually, just putting on my David Bowie nerd hat here, if you go and find the soundtrack or see there's a film of that show that you can get as well, you will see that in so many of the other songs there are little bits here and there. There's one song that in the French is called Jeff, but in the translation is called Oh No Love, You're Not Alone, which is
Oh yes.
a line that David Bowie co-opted.
There's a lot of Jacques Brel in
Lots of little bits.
David Bowie.
She was
My
absolutely entranced
death
by that
waits
show.
in the wings.
Yeah.
My God, that's always there. Well, he's always there, isn't he? Waiting in the wings. You never know.
It's a kind of
Almost when
rewrite
they're
of My
cleaning
Death time in a way.
That's
isn't it?
right. That's right. So, pulling it back to the Piero and Turquoise show, so this was towards the end of 1967. You had this show,
67, yes.
and you went on tour with it around various. Did you start at Oxford? Is that
It
right?
started at Oxford Playhouse, yes, big success, and then it went up to Rose Hill in Whitehaven. Oh, we were so happy together at those days. It was bliss. Bliss, where I live my dream. Fucking some dream that turned out to be. Anyway, I'm afraid we got to Whitehaven. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. It's too sordid. I think it's...
Oh, please tell us.
Well, just a bit of it.
Episode 1.
Got to Whitehaven, you know, the eve of the show, and of course we had a lovely room with a farm. Later on, we christened Jolly Farm. It was hardly jolly, my God. Anyway, there we were with a 4-poster bed, and I thought, well, where is he then? He's taking a long time with his shower. My words, I reluctantly fell asleep. When I woke up, ooh. He wasn't there, was he? But the grunts and the groans coming through the wall. My best friend, Natasha. Well, I'm not going to mention the name. Oh,
Oh, dear.
slipped out. Broke my heart.
That must have been awful.
Oh, it was very unpleasant indeed. I mean, I couldn't leave. I couldn't. You know, I couldn't. I went out in the snow and, you know, and took a bicycle and my nightie and decided, you know, I bicycle into the sea, into the waves. Seen it in the French movie, some child doing that. Yeah. Except the tide was much too far out now. It was freezing. I thought, oh, bugger this. So I lay down and I scratched my wrist.
Lindsay, you know, it's
Instead,
it's a
It's all
cross
in the
for
program.
attention and a long for result. A cross for attention, a long for result.
oh, is that what
Yeah,
they
it is,
say?
yeah.
Thanks for that advice.
It is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It is, apparently.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was pretension or not. No, I was fed up and very pissed anyway, you know. I mean, it was freezing. I did have an excuse. I drank a bottle of gin and climbed through a window. How I got through the window, I'll never know. Caught my nightie, I remember, on something. And performed the deed. And I think I felt ever so sick. Well, I'm very sick indeed in the toilet. And I came round when I heard this kind of celestial music. I've arrived. I've made it. It turned out to be my musical director, Michael Garrett, actually warming up on the piano, playing a bit of Bach, I think. And he came in and found me and, took me to the hospital, and the doctor looked at me and put a bit of sticking plaster on my wrist and said, "You best get back to work and don't be so daft." And I made my first entrance a few hours later, not feeling well at all, in what was originally a snow white hammock and string, and it came down. David B was down there strumming a 12-string guitar, singing "When I Live My Dream." I thought, you've got a bloody nerve.
It was never quite the same after that.
The plasters had come unstuck, and I squeezed them a bit. And I'd make him suffer when I do get down there. And the blood, what there was, it soaked into the silk costume. Poor, I won't mention her name, Natasha, was it? She'd taken a handful of sleeping pills, but she was being revived by a fireman, lucky cow. Kiss of life, she was getting. I was getting sort of old down there. Suffering, anyway. We went to London, and by the time we opened at the Mercury Theatre, first time in the West End, even if it was West 11, my beloved Mercury Theatre, which was part of the Rumbear school at the time, where we performed the show. Well, we made it up, kind of. And we then did a little TV version of the show, based on the show somewhat, called The Looking Glass Murders. If you like, I can show a little clip of it, of David and When I Live My Dream, and you can see that I was still pretty much besotted by David at the time. Shall I have a look at a bit of that? Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this. This is from Scottish television, beginning of 1970.
Yes.
The opening bit from The Looking Glass Murders. I think we might need to just budge over so everyone can see.
When I live my dream, I'll take you with me, riding on a golden horse. We'll live within my castle, with people there to serve you, happy at the sound of your voice. Maybe I'll slay a dragon for you, or banish wicked giants from the land. But you will find that nothing in my dream can hurt you. We will only love each other as forever when I live my dream. When I live my dream, I'll forgive the things you told me, and the empty man you left behind. It's a broken heart that dreams, it's a broken heart you left me. Only love can live in my dream. I'll wish and the thunderclouds will vanish. Wish and the storm will fade away. Wish again and you will stand before me, for the sky will paint an overture and trees will play the rhythm of my dream. When I live my dream, please be there to meet me. Let me be the one to understand. When I live my dream, I'll forget the hurt you gave me. Then we can live in our new land. Till the day my dream cascades around me, I'm content to let you pass me by. Till that day you'll run to many other men, but let them know it's just for now. Tell them that I've got a dream, and tell them you're the starring role. Tell them I'm a dreamy kind of guy, and I'm gonna make my dream. Tell them I will live my dream. Tell them they can laugh at me, but don't forget your date with me. When I live my
We did this in Edinburgh just a few months after the stage show, but must have been long enough after David had broken up with Hermione Farthingale, delightful ballerina who you met when we were doing a television play, Chekhov. Oh yeah, we were quite highbrow in those days. A BBC thing, and David and I got a job as dancers, dancing a gavotte, I think it was, and he met Hermione Farthingale, and we left the BBC, and already they were walking down the road towards Shepherd's Bush Station, arm in arm, and I was just trailing sullenly behind.
We've all
And
been
then
there.
I didn't see him for a while after that. I thought he didn't love me anymore. I was gone, but that was scary. I had a lot of squeeze of what was And then I went to Edinburgh, where I did the first performances, the first production of Flowers. So it was sometime after David obviously finished with Hermione, after the love of his life, after a few weeks. And good audience, aren't they?
Oh, wonderful.
And very nice. And I'll come back tomorrow. And where was I? I can't remember well the response this evening. Oh yes, Angela Bowie came up to do with him in this, you see. I lived in a crummy basement flat with Jack. Angela Bowie and David and me were obliged to share a mattress on the floor. It was the 60s, you know. Nothing new about that. And we did this, and they went away, and then I didn't see him. I heard a lot about him over the next 2 or 3 years, I think. And then Angie, they were still together at that time, came back after a couple of years. And with another LP, what was that called? The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. And with the request that I listened to it, and if I liked it, perhaps I could help devise a show using that music and a few other songs, maybe by Lou Reed and Jack Brel, of course. And he said, oh, and of course you can be in it. So I did it, and I danced the original Starman and Queen.
You
Bitch.
were the Starman.
Yeah, I
You
was
were the character of the Starman.
Yes, I was the Starman and Queen Bitch, of course, and one or two other bits and pieces. The Flowers Company also joined us. We were billed as the Astronets, I think, Lindsay Kemp and the Astronets. It was a big success, Ziggy Stardust. You've probably heard of it.
Yes.
Yeah, big success. After that, I really didn't see very much of David.
What was the excitement of that show? Did it really? Was there a great excitement of performing it? Did you love, performing with him? And it was a great.
Yes, it was very nice. I mean, there was an even bigger audience than there is tonight.
Even bigger.
Bloody hell. And I don't know why I chose to kind of perch myself right up there on the top of a tower. It had a very constructionist kind of set, scaffolding and so on. And my group were all the Astronets. We were all perched on these towers with Lady Stardust masks, which I regretted. Nobody knew it was me.
You had to wear a mask.
And then we had to kind of make our way down these ladders and ropes and things. But David, God bless him, I mean, we climbed up ropes and ladders and did quick changes between scenes. There was lots of dry ice and that kind of thing, which was very popular then and remained so, I believe.
Thank
you
God
kind
for
of
dry
emerge
ice.
in this lavender spotlight with this incredible hair. I'd gone to his dressing room and I said, are you ready for your makeup? And he said, oh, well, I had my makeup done by Pierre Laroche. Oh, Pierre Laroche. Oh. So gone were my sticks of 5 and 9 and all that kind of thing, a bit of Johnson's Talco. Oh, Pierre Laroche from Paris. That was Pierre Laroche, of course, that did the beautiful makeup for. He was a genius of a makeup artist. So that we've lost him, like many of them. I mean, the sun thing here and the pictures with Twiggy and all that. The lightning flash everyone's copying these days.
Yeah.
Disastrous results. I mean, seen about there, the bit of lipstick down there. God bless them, for trying. I met up with David again in New York, actually, shortly after Ziggy. They didn't take us to New York with the
He
show.
financed
Found it
Flowers,
cheap
didn't he?
enough to.
Did he
that wouldn't
finance
cost
it
them much,
Flowers? Didn't he finance Flowers or helped you finance it in New York?
No. I say, did he? No, he didn't. Flowers was on Broadway. I was a big star. Andy Warhol and all their Liza and Rin Tin Tin. I mean, you name it, they were all there. And lunch at the factory and all that kind of thing. And we also met Andy. And the notices came out. We weren't asked out anymore. No, the invitation stopped. But we loved New York. And we stayed. Our return tickets ran out. We picketed the theatre. No one could care a sod. But we did, and we moved off Broadway to a little theatre and did the first production of Salome. And David gave us $500, which is quite a lot in 1938. Which fed the company for a while. So I was very grateful.
He did help a little bit.
He helped a lot.
Yeah, he
helped a lot. In fact, I remember we spent that $500 on food and a backcloth, which was just a huge white silk curtain that billowed down. But when we found that we didn't have enough money for the costumes, I'm afraid the white billowing curtain went. And my dear friend Robert Anthony, who's no longer, well, he's with us, but he's not here tonight, I meant to say, created in no time at all the most beautiful costumes. Everything was white, you know. And Andy, the first night, brought Deanne Vreeland, and she came backstage very impressed, she was, and she said, oh, you know, the costumes. You know, where do you have them made then? You know, Paris? All right. That was Miss Anthony at the back with, you know, a sewing machine. Things were glued together, pinned together. She was ever suppressed, Mrs. Vreeland. Very, very impressed. And then whilst I was in New York, of course, I got the telegram from Rambert that kicked me out years before. A telegram from my dear friend, the late John Chesworth, inviting me back to Rambert to make a ballet, and that ballet was what was the ballet? The Big Parade.
Big Parade, yeah.
The Parade's Gone By.
The Parade's Gone By, yeah.
Big Parade was my reworking of the same themes, the coming of sound and the silent movies, and the tragedy that it led to. I mean, there were many suicides at the time. I didn't have a voice when they didn't have voices. And later on, I did a production for my own company called The Big Parade, and I played the kind of Eric Stroheim kind of dictator director. Christopher Bruce had played the role originally very marvellously, I must say. I tell a lie, it was Bob Smith. And Christopher Bruce wasn't even born in those days. But I did collaborate with Christopher Bruce, as I think you mentioned, on Cruel Garden.
A fantastic, amazing piece.
It was good, wasn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. It was very inspirational. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was very good.
I think one of the best pieces of ballet dance I've ever seen, actually. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people have ever seen
Yeah.
it.
It was.
Well, I mean, it wasn't only my genius, it was, you know, the genius of Christopher Bruce. I mean, marvellous.
I just wish that
and his performances as Garcia Lorca, I mean, you know.
They should revive it.
It was the best
they really
thing
should,
to actually play the role myself a couple of years ago.
They should revive it. I think they should bring it back. I think there's been a lot of people saying they should really...
Have you written?
Well, I've kind of tweeted about it.
Right, yeah, they should.
Don't write these days, just tweet things.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they did. Then I could come back to London again, you see, have another chat, another intimate chat.
It was a great piece.
Something else I'd love to ask you a little bit about, Lindsay, is some of the films that you've made, because you've done some extraordinary things, and I was looking at the dates and realised that you must have practically caught the train or whatever it was to go and film that wonderful film, The Wicker Man, sort of the day after the Ziggy Stardust concert. It was almost straight after that. I looked at.
I thought you were going to say The Stud.
Oh no, not that one.
You were marvellous in that.
Oh yeah.
What did you see at the news? The Paddington stage show, Waterloo, was it? My friend Carlos Moran said, I just saw you in a film at the Newsy. You know, there's newsreel there that no one talks about. I think they've all gone now as well, you know, with the Best of Soho. And I did do a film called The Stud. It wasn't the Joan Collins one, it was an early one.
Different.
I played a drag queen called Dusty. We arrived at the studios there. The director was too pissed, you know. He was absolutely too pissed. The producer was Ray Starr, who was Cool Starr's father. And then, then I did The Wicker Man a bit later.
In which you were Britt Eklund's father, yes? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That was weird casting.
The first thing you'd think of, is it? But
No. Gosh, she was a bitch. I accidentally poured a pint of Guinness over a woman. Accidentally. No, I'm sure she was nice, really. I mean, she was very nice to me. I mean, a lot of them weren't, you know. Oh, you'd be surprised. No, like you are tonight. Oh, I've always been so popular.
It's a really big cult
I
film.
wasn't very popular with the Scottish actors on the set because even though my family are Scots, you know, I wasn't born there. I was born near Liverpool, as you know, and I'm not very good with accents and things. And my Scottish accent would like to play Scot, you know, kind of more between, you know, kind of Pakistani and Irish, that kind of thing. It came and went.
But then Bridget
And Redmo, she wouldn't
Scottish
rehearse, you know, and it was that boring, and she didn't want to go over our scenes and things like that. And she was livid when she found out that they were using someone else's arse.
They did, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Well, there's one point in which she's seeing the film and it's a body double and a voice
someone
double.
else's knockers. One day we were all in the canteen. I was there with the lads, you know, with the stage hands.
The lads.
And this incredible girl came in, da 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 da, do 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 do, in hot pants nearly. And yes, I said, what the fuck's that then? Oh, I remember that, you know, kind of thing. She turned out to be Brit Eklund's new art and knockers. No one had mentioned to Brit. She was ever so flattered when she saw the film, you know. She knew
They were good, yes.
Anyway, it was quite an experience. It wasn't really a happy time doing that film, and I'm surprised, you know, that it was done rather well, isn't it?
It's a really big cult film.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
very
right,
popular cult movie.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Lots of new audience have discovered it all the time.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
yeah.
Wouldn't have I got a
Wait,
royalty
you
for that?
had to put on a sort of a Mr. Punch costume and you got clonked on the head by Edward Woodward.
Yeah,
is
they
that
forgot
right?
I was there.
Yeah.
Tied me up, hit me up there with a bloody candlestick, and he pissed off. And I thought, what am I supposed to do now? You know, nobody came, no geezer came to untie me or anything like that. I had to get out of that myself. I looked out of the window, and of course I saw the Burning Man was burning, that, you know, the wicker.
You didn't have to
that,
dance
and
on
they
the
were all
maypole,
dancing
though,
around. I
did
thought, well, I'm not going to miss that. I mean, I'm not supposed to be dead, you see. Anyway, I climbed out the window.
Summer is a
and joined the jolly throng. You know, singing, let's burn the Wickham band, let's burn the Wickham band. Still in my punch costume, you know, with stage blood flowing over my ear. Let's burn the Wickham band. Something like that.
At least you have to sing summer is a coming in, loudly sing cuckoo.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Summer
right,
is
yeah.
a coming
That,
in,
you know.
loudly sing cuckoo.
That's
We can
it,
dance
right.
around the maypole.
Freezing, of
Yeah.
course.
It looks freezing. You're all on a cliff in there. Do you know this film, you guys? You've seen it?
Yes.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Yeah.
But Christopher Lee in a long wig.
Yeah.
Long wig, yeah.
He was wonderful, Christopher Lee. Lovely, very lovely man. I must say. Yeah, I miss him also. He was lovely, very nice. That me a lot.
So yes, that was 72. Shortly after you did the Ziggy Stardust shows, and then you and David were both kind of breaking America at round about the same time, weren't you? You were getting great notices with your shows, while David was finally picking up momentum in the States as well. Is that about right?
Let's not exaggerate. David was actually doing a bit better than me. And continue to do so, I have to say.
He did all right, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I regret that we didn't do more together later on, because we were going to do, we had plans for doing other things.
I think it's always the
We
same.
were going to do a musical based on
Yeah.
the Water Babies, and I was going to play Mrs. Do Who You Would Be Done By. Yeah,
I think in this business you make plans and then you move different ways around the world all the time.
yes.
Plans, you never find yourself in the same place with people, and you say, well, let's do this in 2 years' time, let's do this in 3 years' time, or next year, and you just move around like that all the
Well, it's
time.
like a green fairy, isn't it? I mean,
It will happen, Lindsay. You will be my green
To
fairy.
be honest, I've been traipsing around in that bit of green chiffon, risking, catching my death, waiting to do the green fairy.
We will.
It'll be very nice when we do.
We will do the green fairy.
The
We had a
absinthe
little.
fairy. I was going to be very fond of absinthe. Do you remember that fabulous bar in
Well, I
Barcelona?
remember in the Bar Marcella in Barcelona. Oh my
It
God.
was gorgeous in that bar. Oh,
It
my
was,
God, you
yeah,
haven't
Bar
got me in
Marcella.
there.
And he used to take it from a tap and he used to fill a decanter.
Yeah,
of
you showed me how
absinthe.
to do it.
Yeah, and they filled up this decanter full of absinthe. I tried bringing some home to England. I sneaked it into my bag because I thought I was going to get arrested if I brought this absinthe back. And it was before it became a brand thing here. And now I put a decanter of it and I sneaked it back in my bag. It lasted me for ages. It was just poison. It was pure poison.
Oh, I used to bring barrels of it back to me. Roll out the barrel, we have a barrel of fun. I used to say to the customs, oh, it's a prop for the Pirates of Penzance.
Those were the crazy absinthe days.
You named an album after it, didn't you?
I
Mark?
did, yeah. I mean, I remember because I used to see Lindsay all the time in Barcelona, in bars like Kike. Kike Bar. And all around Kike Bar and Bar Marcelo.
Oh,
yes.
The air was so sweet.
It was. It was so
Those were the
pungent.
days. Oh, God. And the queen that ran the bar, Tomato. Do you
Yes.
remember the
Oh, yes,
queen
yes.
That, yeah, the tomato-coloured
And
queen.
you were always at the bar, I think, propping it up
Yeah.
at some point.
Oh, those were the days, my word. Gosh, it's gone now, I think.
Yes.
Tomato.
Well, that's all been
long,
cleaned up.
long since
Yeah.
gone. God bless her.
Those were the days, though, weren't they? And Plaza Royale.
Yeah, they were. Look, I've been yakking, we've been yakking. Would you like to see a bit more of me actually doing something?
Yes.
Are you sure about that? Yeah. All right.
Perhaps just explain a little bit about this. We've got one more piece of film, and this is great stuff. This is again something you will not find on YouTube. This is some of Lindsay's special stuff. This is straight from your own archive, isn't it, Lindsay? And this has been put together by
Don't be disappointed, it's not very juicy.
This is David Horton, yes, who is one
Yes.
of your longest-running
Yeah,
collaborators.
my
He's put this
XXX,
together,
yeah.
And it's a compilation of bits and pieces of some of your extraordinary bits of work over the years. It's about 10 minutes long, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shall we have a look at it? Yes. Here we go.
daughter of Sodom, daughter of Babylon. Never.
I will kiss thy mouth.
I will not look at thee. Thou art accursed, Salome! Thou art accursed!
I will kiss thy mouth. I will kiss thy mouth.
Thou art accursed!
I will kiss thy
Thou
mouth.
art accursed!
Così si fa. Così si fa. Così si fa.
por una bastarda.
A toda una bastarda.
Firme la sentenza. Enfermez-les dans la tour de Londres.
You give me too much pleasure. Leave me alone now. You give me too much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's only when you look at a compilation like that that you start to realise what an extraordinary body of work you have built up over the many years, Lindsay. I mean, it's extraordinary stuff. Looking at that, any particular happy memories, special bits that you think, oh, that was a good one? Anything you were particularly proud of, or just all of them?
I don't know. What's one of your favourites? I don't know any favourites. Or all your babies.
Or all your babies?
Much, yeah, they're all mine. Oh, it's all past and done. I'm working on other new things now. Looking at that, some of it, I think, well, that's not too bad, is it? Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it together, would I? The best bits.
In just a couple of
I enjoyed obviously every role that I ever played, and even more the roles that I haven't played yet. You know.
And what plans for the future? What would you like to work on next, Lindsay?
Well, I'm on tour at the moment. I've got a couple of weeks break. You know, thanks to Rada extending this invitation to me. Thank you very much, Rada, for inviting me. I say, and Rada has changed a lot. It's not posh, you know. I've learned many posh boys. They're all talking about, you know, poshness. Of course, no one's got enough money to afford to go to drama school, to the co-op or anywhere. I mean, these days, I don't have any money. But it's very lovely being there with a very wonderful group of people. You know, I'm doing an end of course presentation on Thursday. It's a secret. It's a Romeo and Juliet. Oops, I've done it again.
It was a secret.
But anyway, it's a very great pleasure. So thank you very much for this invitation. A delight to be there and a delight to be here. And I'm also very grateful to the hotel. I mean, you know, they've given me a bed and breakfast, you know, for a bit of yakking. So I'm very grateful to them for that. And the manager, I think I told you the other day if you were here, and I think several of you probably were. I'm sorry to subject you to that film again, if you have seen it already. Worse to come. Anyway, when he came down, he said, "Oh, Mr. Kemp, you know, oh, hi, Lindsay." That the other days. "Hi, Lindsay, you know, wonder if I gave you a bit of paper, you might do a little drawing for me." And I said, "Well, yes, of course, well, the paper's downstairs." When I came, and of course, it was the whole bloody wall was this piece of paper. No, they've been very nice. As I was saying, I'm on tour when I get back to Italy and then Spain with a little show called Kemp Dances. That is to say, Kemp is still at it. God, I've got a nerve, I know. Anyway, you know, how we could do that?
We'd love to see that here.
Well, I've got a pussy to feed.
And also your production of The Maids we'd love to see, and Nijinsky
well,
as well.
That, yes. All these secrets, I'm hoping to do that. At the moment, I'm actually preparing, at the end of this tour of Italy and Spain with Kemp Dances, which is a little show with Daniela. I think there's someone there lurking in the front. Hi, Daniela! Dancing partner and lifesaver on many occasions. And I'm working on a new production of Mozart's Magic Flute, which we're doing in November in Livorno, my new hometown, and then doing a tour of Italy. Look, I met Quentin Crisp a long time ago when we were both naked civil servants, you know, being paid by the LCC to pose nude at the St. Martin's Art School. When I met him several years later, this was the end of the 50s, when I met him years later, he's taken Broadway by storm, you know, with these kind of solo shows. Something like I'm doing now, you know, but of course he was older, you know, and really a bit more slap and that kind of thing. And probably considerably more brilliant. Anyway, I'm saying that before you got a chance to say it. And I asked him, how did you do these shows all on your own? I thought the time might come, you know, and I'd be very glad of getting up there and, you know, doing the show on my own. And he said, well, you just go out there, Mr. Kemp, and you ask the audience to ask questions. It's a bit late to start the evening by suggesting you ask questions, but please, if you do have some questions,
absolutely, we
ask.
We have our lovely stage manager, Dan, who is here with a microphone. Are you there, Dan? Right, so did somebody have a question for Lindsay?
Did you ever meet Francis Bacon? Did you know Francis Bacon?
Yes, of course I know Francis Bacon. I wasn't around in the 16th century. Look, I know I know spring chicken, but You mean the other one? I regret that I didn't. One day, though, I was walking somewhere near South Kensington Station, and I saw him coming towards me. That looming he was. I thought, well, it's Francis Bacon, isn't it? I said to myself. And I knew something was Bacon. And when I looked up, sure enough, paint-splattered shoes and overalls. I was tripping at the time. Hi, Francis. But he didn't know me. But he smiled and he was very nice. And I did have a few chances to meet him, but as I did to meet Cocteau and one or two others, and I didn't get round to it. And what
Does anybody else have a question for you? Yes.
Lindsay, how did you learn to do such fantastic makeup?
Can I just repeat that in case people didn't hear it? It was,
how did I manage to do such, what you said, marvellous? Well, I began to learn the art at my mother's knee. When the bombs were dropping in South Shields and cosmetics were not available, everything was rationing. There was not all in the shops in those days and things, powdered egg and that kind of thing. It's not what we use for makeup. But we did use basic theatrical cosmetics. A stick of number 5, which was a kind of salad yellow, was threepence a stick in those days, you know. It's £212 a stick. You wouldn't believe it. You know, not to mention the price of crepe pear, what I used to buy around here. There used to be a shopping shortage in the 40s. And on the way to school, I used to stop off. On the way home from school, at the end of term, I would stop off, and if I had any pocket money left, I'd buy a stick of number 5 and a stick of number 9 and a bit of crepe pear. And it was at my mother's knee with a stick of number 5 and some burnt cork that we would make each other up and then go for a tita, you know, down Ocean Road, South Shields, because we got a few looks. And you thought it was, you know, a geisha and a daughter. So I learned the basics of cosmetics with my mother, and then, of course, seeing the red shoes and all that, you know, copying. And my first night at boarding school, there was a boy called Ben Spraggan who was in charge of us junior boys. In the prep, we were sitting around the prep table, and he said, "I've heard you want to be a ballet dancer." "Oh, I want to be a ballet dancer. Not to be a sailor at all. I've always been very fond of sailors, but..." We're at it again. And he said, "Oh, God," he said, "what about Moira? Do we just love Moira?" And with a biro, they just come out, you know, with a biro, one black biro and one red biro. He made me up like Moira, with green ink on my eyelids. I look fabulous. The matron didn't think so. Livid and very nasty person we called her Frostbite. And she, in the bathhouse, after the prep, you know, before bedtime, sprinkled my face with vim. No wonder. And vim, scrubbed it up. It's still there, you can probably see traces. The green ink's gone, but the rest is still there. Still a bit of black biro.
That's horrible.
So I copied. That's how I learned it, you know, by copying Massine and Helpman and all those. Yeah, thank you for that question. I'm glad they were impressed with the makeup.
There's somebody just here, yes.
Yes, Lindsay, if I may ask.
Yeah.
Can you claim all the credit for David's influence with his Japanese theatrical...
No! Good heavens, no. I taught him to shuffle about a bit, but then he went to Japan before me, and he learned a lot about makeup from a very great Japanese actor, whose name escapes me. I think that is a bit of a thing. Tamasaburo.
Yeah.
Yes. When I met up with David again, before we went and rehearsed with Ziggy Stardust, I went to Hatton Hall, the house he was living, very grand, with William Morris wallpaper everywhere, blue, the same as I had in Bateman's Buildings. didn't have a pot to piss in. Often was nothing to eat. But I always had William Morris wallpaper. He had bloody William Morris wallpaper in every room in Hatton Hall. And trunks load of kabuki makeup, the real stuff, you know. I mean, I was using shoe whitener, Blanco on my face. Didn't give me a bed. Bloody job. I said, all that makeup. No. You know, no. Anyway, where were I? Oh, another question. Did I answer your question? What was the question?
The Japanese influence.
Did you influence some by his
Japanese? With movement, yes, of course.
The movement.
And we looked at books, and we went to see the kabuki together when it was at Sadler's Wells. Yeah, well, yes, I suppose. Yeah. I did. Awakened his interest, I did, in shuffling. Fan and kimono work, but then he went to Japan and gleaned quite a lot. I really don't want to take too much credit for the David Bowie that you've seen, because he got a lot, you know, from all over the place. He kind of read a lot and saw a lot, looked at everything there was to be looked at, God knows, and so on.
Yeah. Now, someone who I know is here in the audience is a great friend of ours, who I know would like to say a couple of words, Lindsay. I'm sure many of you will know or recognise him. He's the very distinguished actor Nicholas Grace, who you may remember as the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin of Sherwood back in the 1980s. He was Anthony Blanche in Brideshead. You've worked with Madonna, haven't you, Nico? Anyway, what you may not know is that Nicholas, your paths crossed with Lindsay and with David back in the 1960s, yeah?
No, I love Lindsay. In 1967, I was sitting here at Central, Lindsay. We met at dinner, because you mentioned the Mercury Theatre. Jean-Pierre Vos.
Of course, how could I forget?
Most people have forgotten, of course. Good Mercury. We had dinner together, and you're the first guy.
Many times with Jérôme Savary.
Yeah, Jérôme Savary.
I remember those evenings very well, darling. This is young, young and silly in those days.
What it was like to have a guy put his hand on my thigh for the first time and squeeze, and you said, "Wait and see what happens."
Well, that was your story. I mean, first time. They all say that. You were probably 19.
Wonderful. And you actually, I believe, saw the Pierrot show with David Bowie and with
Lindsay. He told me, boy, so he said, "Do you want to come and help us with the show?" Mercury Theatre. And
I did. Well, it was Jean-Pierre Vos that was the manager of the Mercury Theatre at the time that actually kind of produced the show. Yes.
I don't need to tell the story because you can. It's great. Go on.
Well, remarkable man he was.
Yeah,
it was Jean-Pierre Vos that established the International Theatre Club at the Mercury Theatre. The ballerinas were still prancing around, but there were a lot of avant-garde productions, particularly you must have seen Archival, The Labyrinth, which was a very great influence on me, and Stephen Burke, thank God rest his soul. We went to see that together. The actors were wonderful and very, very convincing. Erotic and fabulous. And I asked one of them afterwards, at Jean-Pierre versus one of these dinners, you know, well, where did you study? Well, he said, I never studied. I mean, Jean-Pierre Vos in the park. So that's why I went up to Edinburgh. An aunt of mine, horrifically homophobic, you know, had left me £500 in a will, God bless her, and she would have turned in a grave if she'd known that I spent it on staging the very first production of Flowers of Notre Dame de Fleurs, after having discovered the book. Where was I?
Notre Dame de Fleurs. You were talking about you gave it £500.
I don't doubt, right, yes. I got a bit lost there.
It was pretty good though. I'm not quite sure where it was going.
Talking about Flowers, and that's where we're getting from Flowers in a minute.
But great to have you here, Nico. Thank you very much.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. No, a discovery. I beg your pardon. I remember
we're back.
No, that many of these actors were not trained actors at all.
Yeah.
I mean, they were fabulously handsome athletes and talented, I have to say. But Jean-Pierre Vos had met them in bars and cafes, and with my aunt's £500, wasn't much of that left by the time I got up to Edinburgh. I cast my first production of Flowers, as he did, and as Pasolini did, with boys that I picked up in the park, with disastrous results. Enjoyable results, but bordering on the disastrous anyway. Later on it was recast, with...
Yes, professional.
Yes. Does anybody else have a question for Lindsay? Yes, right here.
What do you think about your crazy flat in Battersea being demolished for that massive monstrosity that now exists on that land where everyone played?
Do you remember those fabulous days? I haven't mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, Arlene Phillips.
Arlene Phillips, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
She knows it's all true because she wasn't there for all of it. God knows, she's only a third of my age, she says. But we were on Broadway together. And you know that Mick did come round with 1,000 white lilies. Goes up every time, started off with 50 lilies that Mick Jagger gave me on the first, then it was 52, and then, it was years ago, so I said only 2,000 lilies he brought the backstage. You introduced me to him, didn't you? That's another story, though. Tell you about that the next time. Arlene was teaching Bianca tap dancing, and I think Bianca broke her leg or put her back out or something. And Arlene invited me to go and say hello to her, to cheer her up a bit when she was in the London clinic, I suppose. And she says to me, Mick's coming in a minute. I think you two will get on. Oh. Poor Bianca, she didn't get a look in, did she? She was like that on her back. And Mick was there now, saying like that. Oh, thank you so much for that introduction. Phew. Oh, God, I need 5 minutes. It's great to see you.
Everything that you told me and gave me, even collecting money from the audience at the Chocolate Warehouse.
You were there. We had to go round. I said, go on and use your knuckles. I said, we had to. We weren't getting enough money in, So there was you with the tambourine and David Meyer, in his sailor's outfit. The pants had been taken in with clothes pegs at the back. And taking the collection in his sailor's hat. Oh, do I have to? You do.
Does anyone have another question for Lindsay?
Any recollections, Lindsay, of Kate Bush as a student and also your work with her on the Red Shoes?
Any recollections of another great pop star who I believe came to you because of David Bowie. She was a fan of David Bowie.
Yes,
she knew that you worked with David. So Kate Bush,
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she followed in his footsteps. A lot of them came, to the classes at the dance centre. Very timid, sweet, I had no idea that it was going to be, the Kate Bush, what we know is now. No idea. Timid little thing at the back of the class, and you keep dragging her forward, By God, when she began to move, and when the gramophone was wound up, going back a bit, she was savage. She was savage. We became very good friends, and I was very pleased. She didn't ask me to her last concert, mind you.
Did she not?
They don't. No, they don't. Anyway, I was very happy to do the Red Shoes.
Which you had a very big party, didn't you? With this sort of demonic figure.
I played myself as usual.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Do we have, I think we're getting towards the time where we're going to have to be thinking, unfortunately, about winding up. Do we have one last question for Lindsay? Has anyone got anything they'd like to ask?
Here. Hello?
Hi.
could you talk a little bit about those wonderful performances, small performances you did in church halls in Notting Hill with the late Jack Burkett? I saw you do an amazing thing with a quarter in a rough disemboweling himself.
I didn't hear very much
Performances
of
you
that
did in Notting
question.
Hill.
Performances you did in Notting Hill with the late Jack Burkett. You say
Well,
they
they
did
were.
church
Oh,
halls?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
were also
Thank
at the
you.
Mercury Theatre. Oh, you was around then, so I'm not the only one left then. It's nice to know, comforting, reassuring. It's very reassuring. Well, Jack and I were very close. Like I said, I met him at the Rambert when we were both teenagers, or I was, and he was my first kind of dancing partner, I suppose. And we improvised a lot of shows beginning at the 60s at the Arts Laboratories. That was really our time, you know. The 60s, the Arts Laboratory in Drury Lane, and lots of happenings. London in the 60s was glorious. No one exaggerates about the kind of how marvellous, liberated the 60s were, when we were also idealistic, and, you know, we thought we would definitely change the world for the better, and we did. 10 minutes. They were glorious. They were the kind of improvisations, and of course we did perform at the Mercury Theatre with our little shows, I think probably before the Pure and Turquoise.
At special times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another question before we go?
One more
I have to
When was the
go.
last time you saw Bowie?
Beg your pardon?
When was the last time you saw Bowie?
When was the last time you saw David Bowie?
Oh, God. Well, it was in Bologna. What's that in English? Bologna.
Bologna.
You know.
Bologna, still Bologna. Yeah.
Yes, and he was on tour with his Glass Spiders tour. I'm sorry you asked me that question, really, but I have to tell the truth.
That was
breaks
quite
my
a
heart, but I have to. Well, a radio program DJ had set up a meeting after many years with David Bowie and me, you see, and it was in a great big stadium place, horrible, and he kept me waiting for 3 hours in this ghastly kind of hangar of a building, by which time I was so pissed. So the last time we met, he said, "Oh, well, the bar's right there." I thought the bar's right there, and I couldn't find the bar anymore. When they finally said, "Oh, David will see you now," I thought, oh. So, to be honest, I really don't remember very much about the last time we met.
Right.
He was polite. He was polite.
Yes, we had one more. I think this may have to be the last. Oh, yeah.
It's just about, are you going to bring a show to South East Wales again, to London or UK?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question.
Wilton's, possibly.
I hope so. Very, very.
Well, let's hope so.
I'm ready. I'm here. Yes, I'm on my way. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not quite done yet, but for now, thank you so much to Marc Almond and to Lindsay Kemp.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well now, ladies and gentlemen, I promised you a very special finale, and a very special finale we've got. So we've kept quiet about this because we thought it would be just such a nice surprise. So I would like you now to welcome back onto the stage to end the evening on a really high note, accompanied now by the wonderful Neil Whitmore on guitar. Please welcome Marc Almond.
Okay, now. Lindsay kind of spoiled my story for this. I was going to say that that Lindsay had actually been the person that had really led me to singing Jacques Brel songs, because Lindsay had taken David Bowie to see Jacques Brel is alive, well and living in Paris, which encouraged David Bowie to sing Jacques Brel songs, which encouraged me to sing Jacques Brel songs, so the link was there from Lindsay to Bowie to me, but Lindsay kind of debunked that myth. So anyway, this is we flipped over the B-side of we flipped over to the B-side of Sorrow. This is the song that was on the other side. These songs are all for Lindsay tonight. The connection with Lindsay. In the port of Amsterdam, there's a sailor who sings of the dreams that he brings from the wide open sea. In the port of Amsterdam, there's a sailor who sleeps while the riverbank weeps by the old willow tree. In the port of Amsterdam, there's a sailor who dies, full of beer, full of cries, in a drunken town fight. In the port of Amsterdam, there's a sailor who's born on a hot, muggy morn by the dawn's early light. In the port of Amsterdam, where the sailors all meet, there's a sailor who eats only fish heads and tails, and he'll show you his teeth that have rotted too soon. He can haul up the sails, he can swallow the moon, and he yells to the cook with his arms open wide, "Hey, bring me more fish and stick it down by my side." And he wants soda belch, but he's too full to try, so he stands up and laughs and he zips up his fly. In the port of Amsterdam, you can see sailors dance, punches bursting their pants, but driving women to ports, they've forgotten the tunes that their whiskey voice croak, splitting the night with the roar of their jokes. And they turn and they dance and they laugh and they lust till the rancid sound of the accordion busts, and then out on the night with their pride in their pants and the sluts that they tow underneath the street lamps. In the port of Amsterdam, there's a sailor who'll drink, and he'll drink and he'll drink and he'll drink once again. He'll drink to the help of the whores of Amsterdam, who've given their bodies to 1,000 other men. Yeah, they bargain their virtue, their goodness all gone for a few dirty coins, but it just can't go on. Blows his nose to the sky of white silver bird, and he pisses like I cry on an unfaithful love. In the port of Amsterdam, in the port of Amsterdam, Amsterdam. So these next songs would be great if you kind of sang along with them. These are kind of characters that Lindsay played in Ziggy Stardust, and so it'd be nice if you all sang, if you know the words, to sing along. It makes it much easier for me because... Okay. This is Queen Bitch. Well, I'm up on the 11th floor and I'm watching the cruisers below. And he's down on the street and he's trying hard to pull Sister Flo. Well, my heart's in the basement, my weekend's an all-time low. But she's hoping to score, but I can't see her letting him go. Walk out of her heart, walk out of her mind. Oh, not her. She's so swishy in a satin attack, with a frock coat and bibbidi-bobbidi hat. Oh God, I could do better than that. She's an all-time ambassador, a sweet-talking night working dames. And she's known in the darkest clubs for pushing ahead of the days. If she said she can do it, then she can do it. She don't make false claims. But she's a queen, and such a queen, the laughter gets sucked in my brains. And she's leading her on, and she'll lay right down. And she's leading her on, and she'll lay right down. Oh yeah, it could have been me. Oh yeah, it could have been me. What didn't I say? What didn't I say? Oh no, no, she's so swishy in a satin attack, in a frock coat and bibbidi-bobbidi hat. Oh God, I could do better than that. Well, I lay down a while and I gazed at my hotel wall. Oh, the cup is so cold it don't feel like no bed at all. Well, I lay down a while and I looked at my hotel wall. And he's down on the street, so I throw both his bags down the hall. Now I'm falling in the cab, cause my stomach feels small. There's a taste in my mouth, but it's no taste at all. It could have been me, oh yeah, it could have been me. Why didn't I say? Why didn't I say? Oh no, no, she's so swishy in a satin attack, in a frock coat and bibbidi-bobbidi hat. Oh God, I could do better than that. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Can I just get the guitar a little louder up here on stage for this one, please? Thank you.
So you're all going to sing this one now. This is another one of Lindsay's characters from Ziggy Stardust. It's a song you should know very well. Hey now, now. Everybody. La la la. La la la. Didn't know what time it was, the lights were low. Oh, oh. I leaned back on my radio. Oh, oh. Some cat was laying down some rock and roll. That's all he said. Then the loud sound, it seemed to fade. Came back like a slow voice on the way. The phase. That was no DJ, that was hazy cosmic jive. There's a starman racing in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He told us not to blow it, cause he knows it's all worth wanting. Let the children lose it, let the children use it, and all the children boogie. To call someone, so I picked on you. Hey, that's far out, so you heard him too. Turn on the TV, you may pick him up on channel 2. Look out your window, you can see his light. If we could sparkle, he may land tonight. Don't tell your papa or he'll get us locked up in fright. There's a starman
blow it, cause he knows it's a starman waiting in the sky. He told us not to blow it, cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, and all the children boogie. Starman waiting in the sky. But it makes me blow my mind. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He told us not to blow it, cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, and all the children boogie. La 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 for Lindsay Kemp, the Starman. La 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 everybody once again. La 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 la. The Starman. Thank you.
Lindsay Kemp. And ladies and gentlemen, when I said we were done, I was actually not entirely telling the truth, because just in case there aren't already enough living legends on this stage, we've got another one who'd like to come up and say a few words. It's Holly Johnson.
An honour to share a stage with Lindsay Kemp. Thank you so much for this fabulous
What a
evening.
pleasure, my God, the holly and the ivy.
The first time I saw Lindsay Kemp was on the silver screen. He was writhing on the floor in ecstasy as men with huge paper mache cocks ejaculated all over him.
Yogurt, it was yogurt, wasn't it?
Oh, was it yogurt?
Yeah, yes.
It
First
was-
time it wasn't a home movie, it was...
It was Derek Jarman
Derek
Sebastiani,
Jarman, yes.
and I've never been the same since. Thank you.
I haven't been the same since either. I'm trying out all those papier-mâché cocks. My word. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
And we have one very, very final thing to do. You may not know this, but Lindsay had a birthday just recently, and we have a birthday cake. Where's the birthday cake? Bring on the cake! Bring on the cake. Ah, here we are.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lindsay. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. This wonderful cake.
Maybe this time I'll be lucky. Maybe this time. God, birthdays come around quickly, don't they? It feels like I just had one last week and there's another bugger on this day. But thank you very much for your thoughts and the lovely cake. And thank you so very much, everyone, for coming.
yes, fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. We're just hiding the poor guys with the incredibly heavy cake. We're going to cut this cake up and you can actually have a slice. I mean it, we're going to do that. Guys, it's been a wonderful evening. Thank you all so much for coming. I'd just like to say a couple of thank yous. I'd like to say thank you again to Nendi for organising this event. It's been wonderful. I'd like to say thank you very much to our wonderful stage management team. I won't be able to name all of them, but Andrew on the techie stuff back there and Dan on the techie stuff down here, you've been fantastic. And thank you, David, everyone, you've been wonderful. Most of all, thank you guys so much for coming. You've made it such a great evening. The bar's staying open for a bit, I believe, so, hang around, have a drink. And have a safe journey home. Thank you so much for coming. Lindsay Kemp!